Welcome, guys. Welcome back to another Discord meeting. We got the crew, the squad, the killers out here in the Discord meeting. And we just had Nylish. What's up, Nylish? Good to see you, brother. Glad you could make it. Yeah, if you guys want to be a part of these, link is in the description. Today is my boy Covey's day. Covey's going to be giving us a little spiel of what's going on. We might chat about a few tickers, but first and foremost, I want to give a state of the market. We're going to run through this quick because if you guys don't know, maybe if you're living under a rock, you'll know the bears are under pressure as the bulls reached a new all-time high again. The 27th new all-time high for the S&P 500 this year. It's a beautiful, beautiful sign to see these up here at 547.10. Look at the market. Rip. Well, you know what I'm going to say, baby. Tater chip, let's go. Absolutely love to see the S&P 500 up here at 547.10. That is beautiful. When we had all that doubt, everybody saying it's too extended, everybody saying it's overpriced, whatever. You could say whatever the hell you want. Oh, there's only 3 or 4 stocks holding this market up. I came right out and I said, imagine if we find breath in the market. And we're going to jump right into that right now. The RSP. Look at this, guys. We talked about the RSP yesterday. Let me blow this bad baby up. Let me blow this part up right here. Lots of squiggly lines on here, but you know, these are my moving averages. This thing really got to going. It was not on the most volume here. That's the only issue. And we're running right into this resistance area. That's what that red line is for. But again, if you can imagine this thing continuing higher and breaking above 165 and getting ripping and roaring to the north side, imagine the S&P 500 does well. We get breath in the market, and even some of these technology stocks and communication stocks either pull back or trade sideways a little bit, okay? If that happens, that's A-okay. We'll have that breath in the market, all right? So let's keep that in mind, guys, that the RSP is looking good as of today. Anything could happen after this, but you just want to keep in mind that the S&P 500 is still above a 10 and 21-day moving average that's heading higher. The RSP is also above its moving averages, all right? It doesn't look nearly as clean as I want it to, but there is breath in this market, and it's starting to show some fruitfulness. Now, one thing we need to look at is the VIX volatility index, and then I'm cutting it short. I'm cutting myself short, guys, because there's not much that we need to look at. The VIX had a small pop-up, and then it sold back off today, okay? Now, we don't have to worry so much about the market until we get really volatile. If we get volatile and we start to get a lot of volatility, that's our fear indicator. If it starts to ramp up here, getting the 16s, the 17s, that's when the market is going to start heading lower. This right here was that bloody 6-day sell-off when we had the fear in the market, when we had the Middle Eastern tensions, when we had, you know, the fear of not getting that rate cut this year, okay? Predator, what's going on? Good to see you, brother. So we get this fear. Right now, we're just trading sideways in the VIX volatility index. It's not fearful, okay? So with that being said, again, I am still risk on. I still love seeing what's going on in the overall market. I love to see the VIX down here trading sideways. Maybe we can just continue to trade sideways like this for a long while the S&P 500 continues higher and we continue to see breath in the market. We want to see more breath, okay, in the market. And that's all I got for you. So if you're ready for us, brother, I'd love for you to share our screen and give us your thoughts on what you got going on. Good. Let me stop streaming. If you guys want to, click on Covey's screen and he is going to take it away.
Alrighty, guys. So how's everyone doing? I'm just going to kind of talk about kind of last week and what my thought process was throughout last week. So the last Monday to Thursday, I didn't take a single trade at all. That's because I just didn't find anything working, or the trades I did take weren't working. And then the week before, and then I had to take a step back, regroup. So I took Monday to Thursday off, kind of just to regroup, recollect my thoughts, do some more research. And you'll find as you start trading, you're gonna have periods like that where you're gonna have drawbacks. So I'll show you the trades I had drawbacks on. So the first one was DYN. So I took DYN on the break here on this day. That was Wednesday the 5th. As you can see here, it had this big run up, which I like to see, and then it kind of formed this tight base consolidation, forming higher lows on the 10-day, and then got really tight on these 2 days and had this big shakeout. And so I played it here, and then it just ripped down. I got stopped out, and DYN it really did hurt because I oversized too on it. So that was another big hit where I was like, okay, I got to take a step back. And the other one that I really thought was going to work out was RSKD. If you guys don't remember me calling this out, me and Dave took this one on this day right here, on this higher than average volume. It had this run up and higher lows on the 10-day, got tight, broke out on higher average volume, ran up to 2R. Now I did break even on this, but I really, when you see a breakout like this and it pull back and stop and pull back and stop you out for break even, I really don't like to see that. When you're playing a breakout, you want to see that continuation. So out of those 2 trades, those 2 losers, I took a step back and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna chill for a bit. And then so I chilled from Monday to Tuesday and I didn't put any trade on, which it really did test my discipline, and it allowed me to look at just other things and just take a step back. So on Friday, I got back in the market and I did take NNE. Now NNE was, in my opinion, and Dave can back me up on this, this is a chart you want to study right here for a trend breakout. This is very beautiful. You have this run up and then you have this pullback coming. You have this pullback coming down and you have higher lows riding this 10-day, getting tighter, and then you have this volume dry up, and then on the breakout, just boom, huge volume up. And now we'll see where this goes. I was able to get out for 3R instead of 2R. Nice. I got out for 3R because it was scenario based. I saw the volume coming in. I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold a little bit later on the end of the day because I see this big push up on volume in the 5-minute. I'll show you guys. So big push up on volume on the 5-minute, and then you have all this buying volume coming in, and then look at this pullback volume. There's almost no pullback volume here, and then you have this other push up, and then you have very little pullback volume, and then boom, you have this big push up again. So it was scenario based, and I really liked what I was seeing here with this push up on volume and then this very little sell back.
What's funny to me is that you say, you're not the expert in trends, and you've always point to me, but when you are the one that found this stock, and we both played it to an absolute picture perfect tee. So I don't ever want to hear that again, brother. You are getting absolutely amazing at these trend breakouts. And yes, I have to agree 100%. Picture perfect. We need to study these types of moves. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I got a really good teacher.
Easy now, easy, bro.
So yeah, it was very nice to have a nice win like this, to just get my head back in the game. And it was really good to take those 4 days off, because like I said, base breakouts right now in this market, base breakouts are not working. Most of my watch list contains a trend breakouts. So yeah, and then I just wanted to also bring up trend breakouts. I went through. I highly recommend you guys read this interview from Christian Quilamagi. It pretty much talks about basically his trading strategy in 2021, and it's exactly the same thing. He brings up one key example of LEDS. So LEDS, this is exactly, he said this is like picture perfect 5-star setup. So what do you see different from NNE and LEDS? It's almost the exact same kind of setup. You get this big run up, and then you have this trend being formed here. Let me draw the line for you guys. You got this trend being formed here, and then you have higher lows being formed, and then you have this breakout on huge volume, and you have this volume dry up right before the breakout. It got tight for these 4 days, and then boom. And then look at this thing, just like 300% run or something crazy like that. So, and that's the same thing I see with NNE, right? It's just big run up, riding this 10-day, and then getting tight, and you have this volume drop for 2 or 3 days, and then boom, breakout on volume. Another example of this that I want you guys to study is REBN. I've been kind of praising this today, but this is exactly like LEDs, like actually identical. You can see it here. So study this. This is like one of the recent examples that I missed, just because this was around the same time like I took the DYN trade and stuff like that. But you can see, like, look at the power move on this thing. You have this big move up, then you have these higher lows being formed, and then you see getting tighter and tighter, and look at it, just gets so freaking tight here that you can risk a crazy amount of shares, and then it just rips up to the north side. Like at all-time highs, you're up 125% in less than 2 weeks.
And you know, this is another one too that you pointed out to me that I wasn't a believer in. I really wasn't looking at this going, yeah, this is what I like. This is what I like. But that's part of being, you know, a tree in the wind. You know, you guys have to be flexible. You have to be malleable. I'm still learning every single day too. And when we go over these things and he points some of these tickers out to me, these trend breaks out to me, sometimes it takes waiting and watching and being hands off, but still following up like we're doing right now to really keen your eye in onto these. So I congratulate you on that too. REBN was absolutely beautiful. And now I really have to focus on these more ascending triangles. And I know Christian talks about a lot that too, but I haven't seen a lot of ascending triangles work that well for me. But now we're starting to see that more and more in the market.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, well, ascending triangles might be coming into the market, and then base breakouts are kind of not working. So it's all about, that's why I always praise to have like master one strategy first, but it's always good to have a little bit of knowledge of each other strategy, because when your base breakouts aren't working, which they aren't right now, then I can start switching my attention to trend breakouts. And it's kind of the same sort of thing. Like, it's the same thing. You have a move up and it's riding a moving average and it's getting tight. Tightness is your friend in the stock market. If a stock's getting tight, it's forming something like this, and it had a big move and it's getting tight, there's a higher chance that it's going to go up. And that's why you have professional traders that are making millions of dollars, because that's exactly what they're doing. So
did you end up getting a hold of this? Did you take REBN? Oh, you missed it.
No,
son of a
no. It came up on my screen, but this would have been definitely. This is.
Yeah, you can't catch them all, brother.
This is one to study. Yeah. This is the one to study. It's 5 stars. It's really nice. So yeah, that's kind of just my spiel over the last week. So we'll see how NNE goes, and I just want you guys to learn, like, mark these down and go back to them as you're looking through stocks, and then you'll start training your eye on, okay, it's getting tight, it's riding a 10-day, it has this big move up, and it's forming this really nice base. And then you'll keep finding these setups, and it'll allow you to also pick out only the 4 to 5 star setups and remove all the other garbage. That's what I'm also focusing on, is removing all the garbage setups and just focusing my time on those 5-star setups. Because if you have a 5-star setup like this, look at this, it'll go on a 100% plus run, and with no looking back in a short period of time. And that's how Christian has made millions of dollars off the stock market, is setups exactly like this. So that's kind of my spiel on my last week. Is there any questions before I move on?
What makes this a 5-star? What are the 5 stars here?
The 5 stars. Well, it's not really 5 stars. Wait, like 5 points? What's your question?
Yeah, you call it a 5-star. Usually, I hear 5 stars setup, and they'll have 5 points that lead up to it.
Yeah, well, there's not really 5 points. I guess there is 5 points. So you got this big move up, right, on volume. So some sort of news, some sort of catalyst, some sort of institutions coming in and buying up a crap load of the stock, and then you're having a base being formed here. So that's number 2. Then you have higher lows being formed. So that's number 3. Higher lows and riding a 10-day. So that's number 3. And then you have it getting really, really tight here. And then you have volume dry up on the stock. Let's see if I can find it, just because that. You have volume dry up within these 3 days. Sorry, I just can't move it over because of that big volume kind of skews it. But you have this volume dry up coming in, so that's 4. And then you have a breakout on volume, which is 5. If you want to do it point-wise. Those are kind of the main points you want to check off.
Also, the ADR. I don't think I heard you say the ADR. Did you? 17.4%.
Oh, yeah.
17.4% in the ADR. So I mean, it's hitting a ton of our buy signs. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the predator, just to recap, you have this move up. You got higher lows being formed, surfing either the 10 or 21 day moving average. It gets really tight. You have this volume dry up down here, and then you have a breakout on volume. That's kind of the main things you want to check off. And then, yes, the ADR is important, because if this was a 3 ADR stock or a 2 ADR stock, this thing's only going to move like 10, 20% on the break. If this thing's a 17 ADR, so it's moving 125% in like 2 weeks. So ADR does come in effect if you want to make really big money, but you just have to be very diligent with your stops because it moves fast, right? So just something. So yeah, good question. Love it though. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question for you, Kobe.
Sure, brother.
NNE. You said you took that trade. What did you get in at, if you don't mind me asking?
I got in a little late. I was hoping for the 750 area, but I got in at 756. So I was hoping for the break of the 750 area, and then I did get in a little late at 756. But even fast. with these high ADR names, even if you're off by, I usually give it like 5 to 10 cents. I would still consider that a good trade. I try not to go over like 10 cents or a percent. Gotcha. That's when you're starting to kind of chase, when you're getting over that kind of area. So yeah, where did you get in, B-Stu? Because I heard you took it.
Yeah, I got it. Let me see here. I'm looking through my notes.
Yeah, I don't need to put you in this spot, but I'm just curious. 740?
745.
Oh yeah, perfect, brother. So yeah, right at the high of this day. That was perfect. And yeah, are you still in it?
Yeah, I got 100 shares. I sold off 3 different times, hitting my R's, and then
nice.
I'm 25 shares right now. And
yeah.
letting it run until it comes down.
Well done. Nice job.
And
hey, brother, you played this shit perfectly, man. This was really well executed from you. Even better than me, because you got in at a lower price. And it just, yeah, right. Hold till the 10-day, until it closes below 10-day, and we'll see where this thing goes. But good trade.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So clarify a little bit more. When you consider this a breakout? So you have your descending top trend line there.
Okay.
All green candle.
Yep. So
why do you determine that as the breakout?
Usually what I watch for is when it breaks the high of the previous day. That's the area where I'm like, if I see volume coming in that area, which I did, when it broke the high of the previous day. Let's see if I can find that for you. So the high of the previous day was, what day was this? This was June 13th. Let's see if I can find it for you on the 5 minutes. It's easier. June 13th. Ooh, where is it? So high of June 13th was actually the, wait, why is it showing different? Sorry. So the high of the 13th was 741, And I'm usually watching this stock very closely when it's breaking this high this day. And then if I see volume coming in when it's breaking 741 right here, then I'm getting into this. So when it
Also,
when it's
if I can add,
yeah.
when I wrote this out in our daily watch list section, I used the psychological area of $7.50 as well. My alert went off at 7:40, 7:45, so we knew when to keep an eye on it. When we start to see volume come in, a lot of the times people love those psychological areas. So the break of 750 was my area to get in, which I believe was just over the previous day.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because the break was high was 741.
Yeah, I was just gonna say 741 was the top. So when it clears that and it hits that 750, you could have had a few shares in, just like B Stewie took that top, at 47 B Stewie. And then I did the same thing. I took it at 747, but then I added into the trade a little bit higher than that 750, which brought my average to 756.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways of doing it, but some people like to take on the full piece, and then other people like to take little bits here and there, and then if it takes off and it's too far away from the spot, well then they have what they have.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I got one last question.
Go ahead,
So
brother.
you guys know the story of what happened to me with this stock.
Yes.
So, at what point could I have gone ahead and just got in late? What is late and what is too late? I guess is what I'm asking.
That's a really good question. Good luck with that one, Covey.
Like I told B Stewie, late is when you're over. So the high was 741, and I would say with a 20 ADR stock, if you're over 3% of the buy area, I would consider that extended. Or if you're over 10 to 20 cents of that buy area, then it would be considered extended.
It sucks because there's so many ways to argue that, though, because if you're looking at using the low of your day, right? If you're using the low of the day, or are you using the low of the previous day? If you're using low of the previous day, then at a 20% ADR stock, if you're using low of previous day, the very latest you want to get in is $8, right? Because then your ADR of the stock is higher than where you're getting in. But if you're using the low of this day, you want to make sure that you're getting the best risk reward. You don't want to take it, so at 20% from there, using that rule, you could get in at 850. But then you got to remember, now your risk reward, you're using that 20%. As to where we're getting in, we're using 5% for our risk, so that way when we take out at 2R, it's at 850. You get it in at 750, 856 now is over 2R. So if you look at the stock and you look at the risk multiples on the ADR, you'll slowly get the eye for it. It depends mostly on where you're risking, though. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, so then if you get in, you want to get in a stock and you're not getting in on the target price, and say you're above, like Dan Bob's talking about.
Yeah.
Is that where you want to smaller portions compared to like maybe what you would have took out at the breakout? I've heard you say you and Dave said this the last few days that you overshared a stock.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is that because you're not getting in, you too many shares where the risk reward is not in your favor? I mean, what would have been a good number of shares?
So like number of shares, it's all based on like calculations and math and math. That's why we use a risk calculator. So, and that's all pre-done before our trading. So if you put in like 756 and the low of the day is, I got in at 756 and I put my low of the day at 711, then I'll calculate how much money I will lose based on how many shares I'm gonna buy. If that makes sense. That's
Yeah,
what
it
you're
does.
asking.
I got makes perfect sense. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So if you buy, let's say you buy up here at like 850, the amount of shares you're gonna take is gonna be a lot lower, but you're still risking the same amount of money. If you get what I'm saying, because your risk to reward is just way off. So, yeah.
Quick question.
Yes, sir, brother.
Quick question, because I'm hearing people bringing up that they're getting into their trades late. Any possibility that you're setting your alert at exactly where you want to buy in instead of before the buy-in?
That's a great point. Yeah, everybody, like for this, I set my alert at like 7:30, just so as soon as it hits that alert, I'm looking at the stock and I'm like, okay, is this thing gonna go, or is the volume coming in? So yeah, the Predator, everyone should be setting their stop at least a couple cents to it, or just you'll get a feel for it. But I would say give yourself a lot more room than you anticipate, because especially with a high ADR stock, this thing, yeah, exactly. And especially with a higher ADR stock, this thing could go to more like within a minute, right? Like if you look at this candle right here on the breakout, it moved 5% in a minute, and then you missed it, right? I mean, 5% in 5 minutes, and then you would have missed it because this thing just zoomed up on volume. So you gotta be ready for that, and have that alert set lower, so you're not getting in late.
I missed it because I was wanting to commit murder.
Oh, that's
we all have those days, right?
Exactly.
I was set to go at 50, so 50 cents.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so 750.
I had my buy order all written down, everything. All I do is click go.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just, well, that's the beauty of the stock market, right? There's gonna be more opportunities out there, and yeah, now it's just learning, Dan. You just gotta set your alert lower, and then you'll be good to go. You'll start, once you hit that alert, watch the stock, see how it starts performing, and you see that volume coming in, then you buy. Or if you see it breaking that 750 area, you could take it as well. All right. Well, I love the questions, guys. Holy, keeping me on my toes. But
this is great, guys. This is great.
Yeah. Any other questions before we move on? If not, I'll get onto the watch list.
Let me get I already got Dave's opinion. Let me get your opinion on what we need to do to minimize false breakouts.
Minimize false breakouts.
Yeah.
So the big thing I do when I'm like minimizing false breakouts is the automatic tell is the volume coming into the stock. If you do not have that volume on the 5 minute, most of the time it is gonna fail on you. And if you have, so a good example is this DYN. I'm hoping I can get back to the 5th and find it for you. The 5th, where I bought it. So I bought it on this day right here, right in the morning. Sorry, at 9:55, and this thing did have a ton of volume coming in on the 5 minute, but it barely ticked through its breakout area and actually pulled back, but then it continued higher.
Can you zoom in on that for us, please?
Yeah, for sure. So it broke out of this area at $32. I got in on volume, and then it just kind of dried up. It dried up, and then it ripped higher, and it was looking really good. And most of the time, when it does this, it looks good. Like I would consider this a good breakout, but then you have a very volatile stock that just takes a swipe to the downside, and you get stopped out. It varies, right? Now with something like NNN and like DYN, I would not consider this by any means a good setup. It really only had this move up, and it only really had a 2-week base, which that's kind of the minimum I trade is a 2-week base. But it did have a lot going for it, following a moving average. And then if you look on the daily volume as well, going back to the volume, it really didn't trade above average volume on the breakout. There was no backing volume to climb this stock higher. So that's kind of the big telltale sign that this thing is going to fail. And look at it, it did fail. That's what I have found in the past when it comes to false breakouts, is volume drives everything, right? So it's, yeah, I would watch for the volume. And then you also get a feel for the setup. So the setup is going to be like, if you're looking at REBN or something like that, it's figuring out what are the 5-star setups and what are the lackluster setups like DYN, right? This needed a little bit more time to base out before it took off again. So yeah.
This brings up another question.
Go ahead.
So I have seen this recently even. So I'm watching a stock, my alert's gone off. I start paying attention to it. About half of the volume that I'm really looking for comes in almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slow, the price is ticking up, and it's already technically in breakout price-wise.
Yeah.
It is ticking up and ticking up and ticking up, but the volume's not there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the rest of the volume comes in. Because that drives up that takes the price past what I was really wanting to buy it at.
Yeah. So if you see that and you see the price moving very, very fast before the volume's even in, that's showing you that there is very little supply coming in the market and demand is starting to come in. So that's a very bullish sign when you're looking at to buy a stock on the 5-minute, is if it's zooming up. Like I've had even NNE. I'm just gonna keep going back to this, even on the 5, because it's the most recent example. On the 5-minute, when this thing zoomed up on volume on this 5-minute, let me zoom in right here. This thing, the price was just moving, and yeah, you don't see the volume until after, but that's a very telltale sign that this thing's gonna go and there's very little supply coming into the market and demand is going through the roof. So yeah, definitely watch for that too.
Very good.
Yeah, no problem, brother. Alrighty. Any other good? These are all great questions, guys, and I love it. It's testing me, testing you. So, any other questions? Nope. Alrighty. I'm gonna move on to my watch list. So, like I said, base breakouts, they're not really working. I'm mostly watching trend breaks right now, and it's just adapting to what the market's giving you, right? And from Monday to Tuesday when I wasn't trading, I didn't see anything that worth trading. So what's the point in putting money into mediocre setups when there's a greater chance of you losing on the trade? So like I said, I'm just narrowing down my list and focusing on these different stocks. So we'll start with BNAI. So BNAI, you can kind of tell the first thing you can probably tell is the RS rating. So the RS rating is the only thing I really hate about this stock. If it had like an RS rating of 90 plus, I'd be all over this thing. But the thing that I really like, it's an IPO, so it's a newer company, and you got the sell-off here, and then you have this big volume coming into the stock here, and then you have the same sort of thing forming here. You have the higher lows being formed, you have it getting tight, it's building higher lows right in this 10-day moving average, and you have the volume dry up coming into this. Like, look at this dry up. You have 4 days of basically no volume traded in the stock, and you have a 43 I can't show you.
43.1, you got it.
Yeah, 43.1 ADR stock. So this thing could really move, and this is exactly, actually I should probably set my alert a little bit lower, and as soon as it hits this high a day right here, I'm going to be looking at seeing the volumes coming in and seeing how the stock's behaving. And if it clears that high a day on volume, I will be taking this stock regardless of the RS. Now, it is a 43.1 ADR mover, so this is definitely something to be very skeptical of, because it can just pop up and then just slam down. And yeah, I would just be careful with that. So BNAI is kind of the only really textbook trend break I'm seeing based on RABN, as same sort of thing, NNE. And if we look at an older example that Chris gave us, LEDS, like this, you have this big move up and then it gets tight here. So
I love how you're using those examples. This is how you train your eyes, guys. And that's why he keeps going back to Chris's example of LEDS. That's why he's going back to NNE. That's why he's going, he's hitting all the key points here. And I love how you're doing that, Covey. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible, because trading is very, very confusing. So yeah, it looks exactly like LADS and all the other examples I showed you. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I got an alert set at 427, and we'll see how she works out tomorrow. Now we have RYAM. The thing I really like about this, it's forming a really nice tight kind of flag here. It's pretty much a flag, but it is a base. So we have about 3-week base. You have this move up. Now it's basing out. It tried to break out here, sold back off, tried to break out here, sold back off. You can see it just touches this 575 area multiple times and just can't cross it. Now, the only thing I would like to see here is volume dry up coming into this. So maybe we get 2 days of volume dry up. That would be so nice to see. But yeah, RYAM just to watch on your list.
Can I ask you a question? I had this on my watch list too, Covey. But when you're looking at base breakouts like this, how much time do you give it? Are you just waiting for the moving averages to kind of turn into spaghetti? Or do you have like a 2 or 3 week scenario where you're like, okay, this is just barcoding now? Like what gives you the off put where you're like, okay, I'm not watching this anymore?
So the off put would be if it breaks down and so the big one for this example would be if it breaks down below this 21 moving average and it just completely just slams down and closes below the 21 moving average. I don't really want to watch it anymore. And that's kind of the only biggest thing here. Or if it gaps up over my my buy area, that would be another one. And then I don't like to play gaps over a breakout area. I find they're more prone to fail. Now, I could be wrong about this, but just based on my experience, I just don't like playing them. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. RYAM. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm showing 1, 2, probably 3, where it's gone over the breakout point in your base there.
Yeah. Wait, so
is it a good thing that it's doing that, or is that showing me it's just going to keep doing that?
Is it a good thing that it's touching this area?
It's breaking over and then dropping back. So is that a negative when we see multiple breakouts?
I find it, now it can be taken both ways, but I find it as a positive, because as long as it's not breaking down and just absolutely coming down after it's breaking out, it's still holding up. It's just showing that this thing needs a little bit more time before it's going to make that move up. It broke out here, but then it came right back in, but it never broke its pattern here or its trend up, and it held this 10-day moving average super well. So
another thing, if I can add too, when it peaks above those areas or below those areas, we have to understand it's not a specific dollar amount or penny amount. These are areas. You have to imagine them as areas because everything is not picture perfect in the market. That's why I used to draw those gray matters, I call them. And that's why we are so heavily focused on volume, because you're not going to get through that area of selling because there's a seller up there. That's why it is selling off. There's a buyer down there. That's why it's buying up. And until we get a very large volume to take out that seller or take out that buyer, that's why it's not heading one way or the other. So keep that psychology in mind too, that it's an area. It's not a specific price point. But that's another reason why we use the psychological 25.25 or 575 or the psychological $6 area too, because a lot of time those areas, when they break, that's where that big seller or that big buyer is. They've put it in at $6 instead of $7.72, you know. So think of it more of an area.
Yeah, perfect. Couldn't say it better myself. That was awesome. So yeah, just watching this 575 area, just because you could just see the resistance here, just can't get across it.
Do you have BRCC? Because BRCC looks very similar to this, and I put it on our. Do you have it on your? Okay. I'll keep my mouth shut. Sorry about that.
No, it's all So BRCC, same thing. You have this move up, and then you have this area it's trying to cross, but it just can't cross. And then you can see on higher volume it breaks out. And now, like I said, base breakouts, it just haven't been working, because this thing, when it breaks out like this, we should see some continuation. This thing actually broke out and then came back down, so you would have got stopped out if you used low a day, which, like I said, I just don't like to see when playing base breakouts. But this is a good one to just look at and see kind of the similar feel as BRCC and RYM.
I don't think you would have gotten stopped out. You're talking about 614. If you would have taken that,
no, you would have.
Oh, would you have? Okay.
I looked at it. You would have. So you had this, like, on the break, you had this. Look at this huge volume coming on the 5 minute. Just huge, absolutely beautiful to see. And then right here, you would have been.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, cool. I'm just looking at the daily candle. I see what you see. I see now. Thank you.
Yeah. So it came back, and then it grinded its way back up. But this was really, really great to see. Like, this is what you want to see when a base breakout. Look at that freaking volume coming in on the 5 minute, and but then you had a pullback, and that's kind of the other reason I was like, I'm taking a breather from base breakouts, just because of a beautiful looking setup like this, and then it does that. So
now what about for tomorrow, when BRCC because it's right at that breakout area again, you know? I mean, it's gapping up over where I just set my alert. So I'm going to get it first thing this morning, and it's getting, it's riding that 10-day really well. And now it's basically trying to push up into that 640 area where it sold off last time. Is this going to be something that you're willing to take, even though no? Okay. Why not?
No. Because I wanted to get it down at the 620 area, 630, 625 area. Okay. Just because of this kind of area resistance I haven't marked out here, and then it broke out. Now it just, in my opinion, it just feels extended, and then your risk to reward is all janky, right? So.
Okay, so it's just not picture perfect for you.
Yeah, not anymore.
Okay.
It was here, and then that volume came in on the 5 minute, and then it sold off. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on because we have 15 minutes, and I want time for questions at the end. So we have RKT. So RKT, this is kind of a little bit of a different play that I'm gonna try to do on small risk. But you have this big base being formed, higher lows being formed here, and then you have multiple times to try to break out of this $15 area, and it just came back in. Now you have this area right here where you have below average volume on this pullback within this range, this area resistance at the $15 area. And now I want to see if I can buy a little pullback buy here. because it came back, it broke out, retested, and now I want to see if it's going to have continuation to the north side. So this is a little bit of a different play. This is more of a Mark Minervini pullback buy, because you have the breakout here, and then it has a 3-day pullback within its back into its breakout area. So then we'll see what will happen. Now we have UBXG. So UBXG, not actually looking to trade this right now. I don't know why I threw this one on here. I'm just waiting to see if it can get really, really tight here. As you can see, it's already getting really, really tight. The only thing to worry about with a stock like this is the volume. You have the average volume in the last 30 days is 100,000. So it's definitely a very micro cap stock. And yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I shouldn't have thrown that one on here. But then we have MAIA. So MAIA, it's forming a nice little base here. Now, it's not the prettiest in the world. It's no NNE, RABN. But like I said, there's not a lot of good bases or trends setting up that I'm finding to be textbook setups. It's really only a couple names. So yeah, MAA, I'm just keeping on my list. And then we have RPAY. Now RPAY, I'm liking this area resistance exactly around this $11 area. It cannot cross the $11 area. So we'll see if it can get tight here. I have my alert set up, but I'm not looking to trade it until we see the volume start to dry up and we see it start to get tight. So this needs a couple more days. I'm just gonna kind of run through.
RPay? Was that
yeah.
one RPay?
RPay.
Yep.
I also did throw on RGLS. So RGLS is forming a nice trend here and then forming higher lows. The only thing that why it's down here is it's not following in it's kind of sloppy because it's not following a moving average, and actually the 50-day is trending down. So I don't really like to see. Now it's following the 10-day, which is really nice to see, and that's why I got my eye on it. And you have this volume dry up coming in. So we'll see how this one plays out. Actually, throw this one up here and watch it a little bit closer. But yeah, it just looks beat down from where it came here to here. But I'm gonna watch that. And then yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Oh yeah, SMR, we were talking about that in the chat today. SMR is looking really nice. In my opinion, it still needs some time to set to tighten up, but SMR is looking really, really good.
I did take SMR today, and I stopped out after it broke low a day. But I thought it was a beautiful move because if you look at it on the 5-minute, you can see the volume come in. It breaks the trend that I had.
Oh yeah, I see that.
I really liked it, guys, and I was happy to take it. And I'll be honest with you, even though it stopped me out and bounced back up, I followed my process on this trade, and I'm happy to take the loss. I even got lucky because when I got my shares in, I only got in about 2/3 of my share size, so I only actually stopped out of $90 because I wasn't about to chase the rest of my shares. So I only got 300 of those shares in, and so when I stopped out, I only took a $90 stop loss today. So that was nice. But this I found to be a nice trend break, even though it was only a 3-day trend. It got really tight on that 10-day just the day before, and then I really like that breakout. So I like SMR, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. But just like you are with your base breakouts, I don't care for the trend now. But I see where you're pulling your trend. I like where you're pulling your trend off the top of that. It makes it in play again for me. I played it in a lot shorter time frame from where that big volume is, that 18 million volume there, and I pulled it down from there rather than from the top of that on the 18th. So it looks good. I like it.
It does look really good. It's following this 21 and 10-day moving average, and then it's just getting tighter. I think it needs still like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see what happens. All right, guys. That's we kind of finished early. That's kind of all I'm watching. Like, it's nothing too crazy right now. Like I said, there's only a few setups that I want to play. So yeah, it kind of sucks to say, but BNAI is kind of my top setup for tomorrow, which is, it isn't ideal because it's not a great stock with the RS rating being a 4, but I just can't get away from the overall setup and the technical setup from the stock. So I'm probably going to take a smaller position on it tomorrow, and then we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, questions time. We are kind
Why
of
do you think there's not a lot of setups right now?
well, just going through my screens, it's either stuff is breaking down, like you have like biotechs or stuff like that, or you have stuff just ripping because the market's just ripping.
Yeah, Dan, you called it out today. You know exactly why. We're extended. When you're extended in the market, and you know the answer, Bob, because you called it out this morning. You know, the market's extended, so things aren't setting up. Things have already set up. We've already called out the setups in our alerts from the past weeks. If you guys were with us, which 90% of you that are in here are in some of those stocks that we called out. You know, you guys are in, you know, like personally, I'm in Epicrombie, ASTS, NNE, NVDL, which is NVIDIA. You know, all of those were trend breakouts. And there's reasons why we called those out. There's reasons why we took those. And there's reasons why they're still running. Can you get into ASTS right now? Hell no. There's no reason for you to try to get into ASTS because there's no trade on it. It's too extended. And it's extended because the market's extended, because AVGO ran, because the sectors are hot. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Dan, Bob. When you called it this morning, the reason why there's not a lot of setups and things aren't working is because the things that are working are continuing to work. So once we get a pullback, which I remember when Covey and I first joined up, we were dreading the pullback because we were doing so good. We didn't want to get a pullback, and then we would stop out and get emotional about it. But now we're like, we welcome a pullback. We welcome it because we're waiting. Hey, we see a pullback. We start licking our chops. We start rubbing our hands together. Let's see what's strong that's holding up when these pullbacks are coming. So Dan, Bob, you know the answer to that, brother. You called it out this morning. Not a lot of setups because the market's extended.
I would definitely love a pullback here. Just because I'm holding one stock, and it's so good for base breakouts when you get when you get a pullback like this.
I'm not going to sweat a pullback. I'm not going to sweat a pullback, but I'm holding four hot stocks right now. So I don't care. It can rip. Get so far extended from the 10-day. So when the pullback happens, my relatively strong stocks are so far from the 10-day. When we do get the pullback, I don't stop out. So I can keep on keeping on. So I agree. I would like a pullback, but let me get a little bit more extended on my stocks from the 10-day before we do.
Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of, like I said, that's kind of the wrap. It's kind of my spiel. I'm grateful for you guys listening to me talk, and any questions? If not, I'll just be in here for like 5 minutes, and if you want to just talk, we can just chill. But that's kind of all. So yeah. Dave, you want to wrap us up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, awesome, Mark. Go ahead. You were very soft-spoken, Awesome. You got to yell at him.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking for SMCI. I know it has a good now RS rating and ADR.
Oh boy, yeah. Let's talk about SMCI.
So
go ahead, Awesome. Tell us what you think.
Is it a good time to get in? What?
You're asking if it's a good time to get in. So you know that it's got a good ADR. You know that it has a good RS rating. What's the RS rating on SMCI? 99. Okay, so we know we have a good ADR. That hits 1 point. We know it hits a good RS rating. That's another point. And me personally, I love this trend here, and it broke out on this trend today. Now, unfortunately, Awesome Art, we cannot give you any we can't give you any clues to whether you should get in or shouldn't get in. All we can do is the analytics on it, because that's your decision, okay? So just keep that in mind when we talk about this. But I see the RS being great. I see the average daily range being strong. I see it being in a hot sector, and I also see it a daily trend break after a huge rip up on earnings. This thing went parabolic at one point. And I called this out when we hit 1,077 that this was parabolic and everybody better watch their ass. And sure enough, it came down the next day and then came back up. So right now, I personally think the trend is so long is because it's digesting all of this and now it's breaking out on that trend. So personally, I like the stock, but Covey and I chatted about this earlier, and Covey, please elaborate why you don't agree so much. Now, whether this thing breaks down or heads higher, I think this is really good to collaborate on. So that's my point. I really like SMCI. I didn't take it because it wasn't a part of my game plan today, but I do really like it. I really like this trend breakout. But Covey needs to point a few things out for us because of the way we teach.
So yeah, the first kind of thing with SMCI that I don't really like is it's not following any moving averages. There's no real support on any moving averages. And the other thing is you have this Dow trending 50-day moving average. So that's kind of for me, that's kind of like the big no-go. And then you also you have this big it just seems really beat down to me because you have this big sell-off. Yes, you have this trend here. Yes, it breaks out. You have this little bounce here. But during this whole time, SMCI getting beat down, you have the market just boom. You have the market just boom, ripping up. So why did SMCI just start selling? Yes, because of maybe this huge move up. But if you look at is this SMCI is in the same as NVIDIA, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so if you look at NVIDIA, while the market's ripping, it just boom, and then SMCI. So SMCI is a lagger. Don't get me wrong, this thing could move, but from a setup perspective, I personally don't like it just because it hasn't found any support on any moving averages, and it's just so beaten down while the market is
That's ripping. A very good point. That's a very good point. And also William O'Neill, another one of our founders that we like to follow, also says, why play the lagger when you should be in the leader, right? So if you expect the semiconductors to continue to go higher, we should be playing the leaders. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I play some laggers, where AVGO
I do
is
too, all the
time.
time.
Yeah. And so as long as they're in your criteria, in your process, you can play those. Yeah. But I like that argument too, that why is it going down? And yes, you did bring up, it went crazy. It went parabolic. We need more time to digest it. Digested, it's kind of ruining those moving averages, even though it was following the 10-day on that run up. But I like that point that you brought up. Well, the market's heading higher, while NVIDIA's heading higher, this thing was still digesting. So, if NVIDIA decides to pull back, which nobody knows where it's going to go. Nobody has a crystal ball. I wish we did here. But when it does, SMCI is going to pull back too. So is AMC, so is MU, so is Taiwan Semiconductor, because NVIDIA is the leader, guys. So do keep that in mind. And you know what? I appreciate you bringing that point up too, Covey, because me personally, I still see this set up as a 4. I'm going to say 4.2 now. Before you brought those key points up, I was going to say 4.5 out of 5 stars, but I'm going to say 4.2 stars. I have to agree with you, Covey. I like what you touched there. We kind of got a spaghetti scenario on these moving averages, but when you bring up, the fact that it is a lagger, but I still see this thing moving. I still see it moving.
I could see go for a little run, but it's never. I don't see it touching these all the time. I could be completely wrong. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but this thing, the other thing just to bring up, it never got tight. Where did it get tight here?
Very good point.
You can count it here, but this is the trend break. This I would consider the trend break, but it never got tight here. It just moved up, had one kind of day, and then
now it does have those new lower highs though. It does have the new lower highs though. So it's still arguably it does now, but still arguing the fact that it went up so high so fast on so much volume that moving averages are out, and it getting tight down there at that base might, but at the same time, we're kind of him-hawing over it, and we're trying to break from our very, very unique process. So I got to agree with you again.
another key point here is, which Mark brings up a lot, is overhead supply. Now this thing.
Yes.
Now the other thing is, awesome art, is overhead supply. So you got people up here that are holding the bag and are just waiting for this thing to pop up so they can get out for break even or minimize their losses.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have happy investors up here. So you having people looking to sell, to move their money into something like Nvidia, or just completely accept their losses and take it out of the market. So I don't like this overhead supply at all, and it just
it's next area
you
of overhead.
You got a lot of buying volume here, but you also got a lot of volume being traded in this area too. And then you have all these trapped buyers.
That's
or trapped
1150.
investors. Yeah.
All those sellers are at 1150.
Yeah. At 1150.
Great.
Okay.
So
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was confused, and so that's why I got some points. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
A quick
Yeah, no problem.
If I can add one thing there,
Go ahead,
if you
brother.
look at the other time frames, it's just as choppy on the other time frames, if not more so.
Like hour.
Like there's no time frame there that looks solid.
Yeah.
Not the hourly, not the 90-day.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe the weekly. You try the weekly.
Yeah. There's so many
the
things here
weekly
that
doesn't
you have
look-
to remember when
Actually,
you.
the weekly doesn't look.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weekly looks solid. I like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even try to look at
Yeah.
the weekly.
If you're playing
good
the
point.
weekly, you can make it.
But then you have the
Yeah.
breakout here, but you got no volume on the weekly. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But
Like I
even-
said,
Even the weekly after the top, after the top on the weekly, it's still choppy because it's crossing both the 10 and 21. It's
Yeah.
almost forming like a barcode, a little above the 10 and a little below the 21. If you
Yeah.
look at it, if you stretch it out, you see what I'm saying.
yeah.
I think an important thing too to keep in mind when you're looking at some of these stocks like this, when you see it choppy on your preferred time frame, which in our case is the daily, check out the other time frames to see if one of the other time frame may look better and might offer you an entry and exit.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Dan, Bob, what were you
No.
going to bring up?
Yeah.
Let me clarify what its colors are. So green is your 10-day,
Yep.
and the pink purple is your 21.
21, 50 day,
Yeah.
200 day.
So the first thing that always worries me on a chart like this, if you go back to where it was in its stage 2 there,
Yeah.
and it was private, how clean, so you can see how clean the MAs are.
Yeah.
But then when you get over to where it is now,
Yep.
they twist it and they're on top of each other.
Yeah,
So
that's
you've got-
definitely a bad sign.
Yeah, you got the 10 below the 21. That always concerns me.
Well, that's why I think at this trend breakout, they're all going to line up here. I think personally, and I don't know for sure, this thing could fail tomorrow. And if NVIDIA comes down, SMCI is most likely to come down too. But I think at this breakout area, I think there's going to be so much fear missing out and so many people are going to be buying into this thing that all those moving averages are going to straighten right out in the next week, you know. And that's my guess. I don't honestly know. But I really think if we see some volume come in on this breakout, things are going to straighten right out. All those moving averages are going to straighten right out. But that doesn't give you any more reason to buy this, Dan. I agree with you. It's spaghetti right now. It's not picture perfect at all. So
Yep.
Sure. Thank you
Yep.
so much. Yeah.
thank
That's
you
just
so
my
much.
thoughts on it. It's a tough one, but like I said, it's not anything pretty in my eyes. Alrighty, perfect. I'm glad someone brought up SMCI because I completely forgot about it. We were gonna talk about it tonight, but
See you,
anyways,
Eilish.
yeah, that's kind of that's wrapped up. Dave, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, sure, guys. First of all, Covey, thank you so much for doing this for us. It was absolutely enlightening to go over those base and trend breakouts. I love the way you go back and forth from like the examples that Christian Koulibaly brings up and then you head back over to NNE, you head back over to REBN, you head back over to all the different tickers, and then we could go in and talk a little bit more about the base breakouts and how long they take, and we could use this SMCI as a great example of how we can go back and forth and we can learn from each other on our technical analysis. This is the best way to do it, guys, to train our eyes. So first and foremost, thank you so much, Covey. And of course, thank you guys for being here. You guys all asked amazing questions. This is what we want from you. We want those questions, because not only is it going to help you out, but it's going to help us out too. It makes us sharper. Steel sharpens steel. The more questions you guys ask, the more sharp we are going to become, okay? Both of us on both sides. So second of all, thank you guys so much for doing exactly what you did tonight. So thank you. And third, of course, guys, remember, we are a little extended, okay? We're going to have trouble on them setups. Make sure you keep in mind, we're always using risk management. We might not talk about it all the time, but that is the very first edge that you will find in trading. You'll hear people all the time talk about finding an edge. You need to find your edge, and the very first edge you need to find is how to preserve your capital. If you don't know how to do that, of course, go back, watch our trend break and our base breakout videos. We go over that. If you have more questions about it, ask it in the general chat. Predator is getting very good at that. Dan Bob is getting very good at that, and they'll be happy to go over that stuff with you. And David, I'm talking in third person now. Myself and Covey, we will also be able to help you. So make sure you guys look at risk management before you're even starting to trade. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And Dan Bob's clapping. Yes, you're quite welcome. I bow to you, sir. No, guys, have a great night. And what's on the schedule for tomorrow, Dan Bob? Is that just another meeting tomorrow at 9?
Yep, another meeting, yep.
Okay, guys, so tomorrow, just a quick heads up, I am going to take the day off tomorrow, and then Wednesday is Juneteenth, so we will have a meeting tomorrow. I'll be back before the meeting, so I'll see you guys at 9 p.m. But Wednesday, because there's Juneteenth off, instead of going over the state of the market, what we'll do is we'll do a deeper dive, whether it's in a book or whether it's William O'Neill, or if it Christian Quilamagi again. We'll come up with something that we might want to go over, maybe a small biography go over. I think that would be fun, but we'll do a little powwow. If you guys have any ideas of a trader that's relatable that you want to talk or hear about, we can do that. Or if there's something you want to go over, maybe more on risk management or anything like that, you let us know in the general chat. But again, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have an awesome night. Thank you, Covey.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night is masterclass.
Masterclass. Okay. Yeah, today is Monday. So masterclass. So okay, we'll figure out something to go over. Probably most likely risk management, since we need to preach more about that.
That's a good one.
All right, guys.
Alrighty.
Zamora, I didn't
Good
hear
stuff.
a peep
Good night.
out of you. Good night to Predator.
Good night, guys. I gotta go write a paper.
Good night,
See you later.
Zamora. Good luck on your paper, Covey. Dan Bob with the crickets. Good
Great.
night, Jimmy. Be
Good night,
Stewie.
guys.
Good night, brother. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
No problem, man. Peace. Peace out, guys.